Welcome to the Have You Met Her Yet podcast, a podcast by Pink Crown Creative. I am your host, Lindsay Dent, the founder of Pink Crown Creative, a Vancouver-based marketing consulting company. This podcast was created to shine a spotlight on women in the workplace, who they are, what they do, why you should know them. In this week's episode, I speak with Erin Montgomery, the editor-in-chief of Flourish Magazine. I can't wait for you to meet Erin. I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome back to Have You Met Her Yet? Today I have Erin from Flourish Magazine. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So to get started, I wanted to know a little bit about your story, what you do, and how did you get to where you are currently in your career?
So I am a single mom to 3 kids. My ex-husband and I got divorced about a year and a half ago, and that's kind of when I decided to start Flourish. Probably not the best time in my life to start a new business, but I mean, everything was already up in the air. Then I was like, well, what's one more?
Yeah.
So that was when I really dove into it. I had thought about it for a few years and just never did anything with it. And then once that big thing happened in my life, I just decided that maybe this was the time to do it. And then our first issue just came out a few weeks ago. So it's been a slow process, but it's slowly building.
Very, very cool. That's awesome. Do you want to share, so you run Flourish Magazine. Is there anything else that you're doing, or are you just currently doing that?
So I run Flourish Magazine. I also have a full-time Monday to Friday 9 to 5 job.
Okay.
Where I do social media, marketing, and PR.
Yep.
And then I'm also a co-author on a couple of upcoming books later this year.
So very busy. You have a lot on your plate.
Very busy, but it's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. So can you tell me a little bit more about Flourish Magazine?
So Flourish is a magazine written for moms by moms. So every single piece of content in there is written by a mom. Moms are not like professional writers. The whole point of the magazine is to have real life experiences and real life adventures shared by real moms right as they're going through it. So it covers everything from before you get pregnant to while you're pregnant to even up to your kids' tween years. So the stories are just really things that moms can actually relate to. There's no expert advice or anything of that nature. It's all just very real and raw stories.
Very cool. And so what made you feel called to create a platform like that?
I think for me, I'm the type of person who loves a print magazine. So when I go to chapters or things like that, I just never really noticed a magazine in that kind of niche.
Yeah.
There are parenting magazines, but there's nothing just specific to moms that's kind of real. Something that doesn't offer, advice from a doctor, or something that's not shoving tips down your throat that necessarily aren't going to work for you. So I just felt like maybe there was a market here for something that was more real, more authentic, something more relatable than what I was seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how have you sourced your writers so far?
So the first issue is solely word of mouth. A lot of my mom friends, some of their friends, I did a couple of posts on social media just to be like, hey, any of my mom friends want to do this with me? And I had a lot of really great response.
Yeah.
And then as I go into the second issue, I've got a few writers who I don't know, some people who have reached out who are interested in writing. So it's kind of just evolved from there.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. So you said you just launched a few weeks ago. Are you able to share a little bit more about what that process was like from beginning to end to launching that first publication?
So the process was a lot more work than I think I anticipated it to be.
Yeah.
So from the beginning, I put the call out in September for writers. Their deadline for their articles was mid-October, but then that didn't leave enough time to get to print. So it was very rushed. Thankfully, one of my friends is actually a graphic designer, so she was able to do all the design, the magazine layout, and I called on a couple of friends who I know who are photographers to do the cover photo. Everything I didn't, it's as a startup, like I had to really rely on my friends and like people that I knew in order to get this to work. And thankfully, like I had a lot of people who believed in it and helped me do it. Without that band of people, I would not have been able to get it out as quick as we did. So now as we go into the second one, we've kind of learned about what the process is like.
Yep.
Sorry, my kid just walked in.
That's okay. Real life. Yep. It's all good. So I guess this probably is a great next question. So if you can share a bit more about what it's like being a single mom, raising kids, working full time, and running a business.
It's exhausting. It's a lot. Before I became a single mom, I was a freelancer and I was bartending part-time. So I was home a lot, but I also had the support of my ex-husband.
Yeah.
But now I'm, just me. And it's a lot, but we make it work. It's a lot of scheduling. We do daycare 3 days a week, preschool 2 days a week, and then my older two are full-time school, so that definitely helps.
Okay.
And we just manage our time, like with extracurricular activities. It's just making sure that they coincide with each other. If I can, I work while I'm there, like waiting for them to be done.
Oh, great.
And then I also have a few mom friends that I rely on to help with carpooling if, something comes up and I just can't be in two places at once.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any strategies that you can share that you use so you avoid sort of burning out?
I think the only thing I can say is I have all my kids. My oldest is 9, but since she started school, we've always done bedtime at 7:30. Even now that she's 9, we still do that. Whether she reads in her room by herself for an hour, it just gives me that time to like decompress. All the kids are like in their rooms, quiet, sleeping, reading, whatever they're doing. But it gives me that time to kind of have a little bit of me time, because I find if they go to bed a little bit later, like it's 9:30, 10 o'clock, by the time they're done, I'm done. So I've always done 7:30 as a kind of like a bedtime, whether they read or play in their rooms quietly, that's fine. But anything later, I find like I'm done by the time they're in bed. So it just gives me at least an hour to kind of sit or watch a show or do something for me.
Honestly, really smart of you to have implemented that. I mean, I can't even imagine how difficult that would be to not have that time for yourself, and the fact that you've been able to do that and that your oldest is able to give you that time as well. I mean, that's so great that you're able to have those moments at night, to decompress, to figure out what your next move is, whether it's with the kids or with your business or with your full-time job. I mean, a lot of that is really hard to juggle. So that's incredible that you've been able to find sort of what's working for you at the moment. What would you say, I guess, since you've started your business, would be a resource that has been extremely beneficial to you?
I joined a lot of Facebook groups that were about business, about entrepreneurship. So I feel like those have been great resources that I can ask questions, and like I'll get 4 or 5 different responses that are maybe a little bit different in nature, so you can see different point of views. So I find the Facebook groups to be like a huge resource in building a business, because they have all been through it or are going through it, and they can offer some really great advice that you maybe won't find online.
Yeah. And what kind of groups are you a part of, if you want to share any that maybe other people are looking for?
Yeah, so I'm a part of a couple local ones. One of them is called Hamilton Fempreneurs, which is really great. I'm a part of a couple that are in the States, like Boss Mom.
Yep.
And actually this Sparkle Hustle Grow.
Okay.
She owns like a subscription box, but she also does really great business tips.
Awesome.
So I'm part of those. So they're not just location specific. They're kind of all out there. If you even Google, like search it on Facebook, like mom boss groups, you'll get tons.
Okay. That's really cool. Do you have any like what does your support system look like? Do you have a mentor? Do you have anyone that has inspired your career this far?
I don't have a mentor. I used to own a business like maybe 5 years ago. I owned 5 or 6 years ago, a social media marketing company that I did from home.
Yep.
I owned that for about 2 years, and then I left to go back corporately just because I needed a more steady income. That was really the only reason. So I've kind of been through this once already, but I don't have a specific person that I talk to. A couple of my friends do own their own businesses, so I've been relying on them for information. And I have family members who own businesses, so I've been relying on them, but no specific one person.
Okay, that's great. So is there anything that you're not doing now that you wish you were? And if so, what is it and why aren't you doing it?
Anything I'm not doing now that I wish I was? Maybe like anything in general?
Yeah, go for it.
I would probably say traveling more. I used to travel when I was younger. I lived in Australia for a little while.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that I would love to be doing that I'm not doing now. And the only reason that's holding me back is the 3 kids and
Right.
responsibilities right now.
Yep.
As I get older, it'll be a little bit easier to travel with them and give them that experience. But right now we're a little stuck in where we are until like my youngest is not even 2. So until he gets a little bit older, it's not as easy to travel with him.
Of course, that makes sense. If you could take your career anywhere in the world, where would you take it?
I could take it anywhere. I think I would ultimately love to be able to work just for myself or remotely. I feel like I would have a lot more freedom to be here with them or to travel with them or, accomplish other things. So I think maybe down the road, that's what I would love to do is just be able to work remotely, whether that's still in the full-time role with a corporate position or whether that's for myself.
Yeah.
But ideally, that would be the dream.
And do you have a specific location you would want to work out of?
I would love to work somewhere hot. I'm not made for cold weather.
I agree.
But I don't know. I don't know that I would want to move away from kind of the support system that I built for myself here.
Yeah.
But maybe it's sometimes somewhere hot and sometimes here.
Yep. Do you have any advice for mothers or mothers to be who want to start a business? Anything that you've learned along the way?
I think the biggest thing I've learned is not to wait. If you have an idea and you feel like there's a market for it and you have, if you are on maternity leave or if you're in between jobs, like just go for it. At that point, you really have nothing to lose. I think I wish I had started Flourish earlier.
Okay.
Knowing what I know now, like I feel like I should have just went for it when I first thought of it.
Yeah.
So that would be my biggest piece of advice. If you have something in mind that you want to do, just go for it. It might not happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of work, but in the end, it turns out to be really worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, starting is the first part, right? And once you do that, it will continue to grow. It's, of course, scary and terrifying to do. But it's always funny to see on the other side of how things are after you start of, oh, that actually wasn't that big of a deal. I could have done this years ago. But it's that barrier between starting and not doing anything at all that kind of stops us from, what we feel called to do. So yeah, that's incredible advice. Are you able to name 3 things that someone has told you you're good at or what they admire you for?
I feel like that's always such a hard question because you never feel those things about yourself that people maybe tell you.
Yeah.
People always tell me that I'm a really good writer, but I don't feel that of myself.
Okay.
My journalism school and like I have that background to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just you always critique yourself, I guess, a little bit more than other people would.
Of course.
So people always tell me like I have a couple friends who are currently going through divorce or where I was a year and a half ago, and they're always like, you come across so strong and you've done such an amazing job, and I understand how they can see that, but through my eyes, and maybe don't feel the same way that they do.
Interesting how we think that way of ourselves.
Like, I guess I think it's with everybody. You portray such a different image than what you actually think in your head. So it's very hard for me to like accept a compliment from somebody because I'm like, are you sure? People have told me that, that I've given them strength to like move forward because of everything that I've accomplished in the last year and a half after going through a divorce and being a primary caregiver to 3 kids. So that's probably one of the biggest compliments, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I'm great, but thank you.
Yeah, it's so hard to own it, but that's just the lesson, is just owning it, taking it, and just reflecting on the things that people see in you and trying to believe it yourself.
Right. That's the biggest part, is believing it yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So what would you say is your biggest accomplishment to date that you're extremely proud of?
My biggest accomplishment. I think it hasn't quite happened yet, but I've always wanted to publish a book, and now I'm going to be co-authoring 2 books this year. So I feel like that has been my biggest accomplishment for myself. Something I've wanted to do for over 10 years, and it's finally happening. It's not like a single author book, but it's a step in that direction, and I'm super proud that I'm actually able to do it, and probably one of the biggest things that I'm excited about right now.
It's huge. Are you able to share a little bit more about what those look like?
Yeah, so I'm going to be doing a co-author book called Mama's Gotta Work that comes out in September. And it's just each chapter in the book is written by a different mom, and it's their experience about either going back to work or leaving work or starting their own business, kind of like real life experiences that moms can read and draw on, and sort of kind of like what I'm doing with Flourish in a way. And the other one is about self-love, which comes out in June. So my piece will be on learning to love yourself after divorce and realizing that you are good enough regardless of how you may feel at that time.
That's incredible.
That one will come out in June.
That's great. Yeah, we'll definitely have to keep some tabs on when those come out so we can promote them and share them on our platform in case anyone is interested. It's hilarious that you think you're not a good writer when you have these incredible.
I know. Yeah. And it's just your own worst critic is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is incredible that you have those things on your plate. What would you say you think, like, what do you think defines success, or what do you think success is?
I think for me, what defines success is not a monetary thing. It's how it makes me feel. So yes, I was successful corporately, but I didn't necessarily love it. But now at this stage in my life where I have a side hustle and I actually do love my full-time job, I feel like I'm successful because I'm happy and I enjoy what I do, and I'm not dreading going to work in the morning. Right. Or come to working on a business that I don't love. Like, right, I'm in the point where I feel like I have accomplished a lot that I've wanted to, and it's made me into a better mindset. So I feel like that makes me feel successful.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's really, really cool. When would you say time passes the fastest for you, and when does it pass the slowest for you?
I think time passes fast all the time.
Yeah.
There's never really a lot of slow points, especially lately. Yeah. I just feel like I blink, the day's over, or the week's gone, or it's like 2 months from now. So I feel like it's all been really fast. There hasn't been a lot of slow points in time, but I'm hoping, like with everything that I'm building, that the time will start to slow down. I feel like it's all just going by really fast right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it seems like you have a lot going on, so it totally makes sense that time would pass really quickly, or you feel like you don't have enough time, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah, for sure. Are you able to share a little bit more about some things that you do, maybe as like a hobby, or things that you do for self-care, or just kind of anything that you do for yourself, maybe?
One of the things I do for myself is, actually, my sister is an esthetician, and she works at a salon not too far from here. So I frequent that place with her. So that gives me time with her, as well as some time for self-care, pedicure, manicure, and all of that fun stuff. I don't have a lot of personal free time. I used to do pole dancing classes as like an outlet. I haven't done them in a couple months, but I would love to get back into that. I have a daughter who's competitive dance. So my weekends from March till June are gone. with that. So there's not a lot of extra time in my day, but definitely the fact that my sister does offer those kind of services gives me that time to myself.
Yeah.
Which is really great.
Very, very cool. No, that is awesome. I wish I had that connection. That sounds
It's a pretty awesome connection, I have to say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. What do you do, or what do you like to do that you think is traditionally considered masculine? Is there anything that comes up?
Masculine. I don't know. Not sure. I feel like I don't necessarily know that I like to do this, but a lot of my friends ask me to help them move because I'm probably one of the strongest girls they've ever, like, I'm freakishly strong, but I don't work out, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I have the strength to like move a lot of things, and probably normal people can't, but I'm not the type of person who goes to the gym.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's a huge thing.
It's weird. I do get asked to move a lot because of that. So I feel like maybe that's a more masculine thing that most women probably don't do.
Yeah. No, that's really, really cool. On another note, what would you say is the best thing about being a female?
I think now the best thing about being a female is there's so much movement now that women can do anything.
Yeah.
And that even when I was like in high school, elementary school, that really wasn't a thing. Like my mom was a stay-at-home mom. A lot of the moms were stay-at-home moms and they didn't work. So I feel like now it's just a really great time to be a female because there's so much more you can do and accomplish. And there's not as much maybe holding us back as there was maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's just our time.
Yeah. I love that. That's really, really cool. So I did notice that you are a part of a lot of events. And so I wanted to know a bit more about what that was, if you can share what that looks like for you and Flourish.
So one of the ways that I get Flourish out into the community is to do a lot of local events. So a lot of vendor markets. So we are at any market that I am able to commit to, like I'm there. So it's just a great way for us to be face to face with people and chat with them and for them to actually see the product in their hand. So we try to do as many events as we can. We have one coming up this Sunday, another one next Saturday. So as many as I can fit in, we're definitely doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think I saw that you have a creative director. Do you have anyone else on your team? And can you share a little bit more about how you added someone on your team and what the future of that looks like for your business?
Yeah, so when I started the magazine, I started on a whim. It was just me. My creative director, Alex, is actually one of my really close friends. She owns a web design and graphic design company. And so she does all of my magazine layout, all of my ad design, like anything that's print and visual, she makes it.
Amazing.
So we've kind of just become into this partnership in our business where, once we start to turn a profit, like it's something we would split. So it's really only the two of us. And then we have a team of writers who are all volunteers at the moment until, that time comes where we're able to spread our wealth a little bit. But right now it's, just me and her, and then our team of writers who support us and like give us our articles every month and submit to the magazine. And really without them, I would not be able to publish this.
Yeah, that's really, really incredible. What are your goals for the magazine? Maybe if you were to see it within 5 years, like what is your moment of like, yes, we've done it. This is what I wanted it to be. This is what the vision looked like.
Well, right now we publish on a quarterly basis. So I think in 5 years, if I was to say I made it, I would love to be able to do this monthly.
Oh, amazing.
It's not very cost effective to do it monthly right now, but I would love to be able to offer it monthly in 5 years. And that would be the point where I could say to myself, okay, this works and we did it.
Yeah, that's incredible. If there was someone out there who's looking to contribute or write or be a part of this magazine and what you're doing, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you? And what does that look like?
So if they're looking to write, so we offer two ways of writing. You can be a monthly writer with us. So we look for someone who does 1 to 2 articles a month, and those appear on the website. Or you can be added to our list of writers to be in our issues, which we do a call out for 4 times a year. So they would just email us at hello@flourishmagazine.ca, or if they're on social media, they can DM us, whatever. Honestly, any way to get in touch with me, I'm always kind of behind the screen, just ready to answer anybody. So I'm always there.
Yeah, that's truly incredible. What would you say are your top 3 magazines?
My top 3. I used to read Flair a lot, but they don't publish anymore. I love Magnolia Journal by Joanna Gaines.
What is it about? I've never heard of that before.
Joanna Gaines is the girl who does Fixer Upper on HGTV. I'm a sucker for HGTV, so she does, her magazine is about home decor. It's about parenting. It's just about life in general, and it's 4 times a year as well. So I love her magazine. I read Cosmo and like People just for, the gossip and the fun of it.
Oh yeah.
But I think Magnolia Journal is probably one of my top favorites.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I love the gossip stuff too. I'm like a big avid fan of Cosmo. I've always been. But yeah, there's something different about holding a physical magazine, right? And having that escape from technology. And I mean, you're on your phone and computer all day. The last thing you want to do is continue to read more online. So I do totally believe in print and think that having something physical to look at is something that for me is not going to go anyway. That specialness of it is not going anywhere.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Everyone says print is dead, but I'm like, no, I much prefer the feeling of the paper than having to stare at my screen any more than I already do.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So the next issue, what is that looking like, and like for the launch date?
So the next issue will come out April 1st.
Okay.
So the issues have a 3-month shelf life. So all of the magazines in the next issue are a little more spring related, because it does stay on the shelf from April till July 1st.
Yeah.
So in the magazine, there'll be things about, one story is a woman's struggle to become a mom. There's things about how to deal with, your preteen attitude. So there's a little bit of everything so that moms at every stage are able to relate to some piece in the article. And there's the typical like fashion and beauty type of articles, but they're from a mom's perspective as opposed to this is what you should be wearing. Here are the hottest trends. It's not things like that. It's from a mom's perspective, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's great. And I know you mentioned before that you do promote at different events and markets, but where can someone find this magazine? Where can they get their hands on it once it's launched?
So right now you can get it at the different markets. You can buy it online. You can buy the issue singly, or you can do a year subscription.
Okay.
Depending on how you want it to purchase. So you can buy online. We do ship across Canada. Right now, I'm based in Ontario, so a lot of our retail locations are Ontario-based.
Okay.
But we are working with a distributor to hopefully get into chapters across Canada. So that's just a process that I'm hoping, like maybe by the end of the year, it'll be more widely available.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So my last question for you is going to be, what is one thing that you're going to make happen this year?
I think the one thing I'm going to make happen is to be in chapters. That's probably one of my biggest goals. I feel like it's the best way to get it out there for a bigger audience, and I can reach people on the West Coast, on the East Coast, which I can't necessarily do from where I am.
Yeah.
So I think chapters is our biggest goal for the end of the year.
That's incredible. I love that goal so much. So what, I guess, is there anything else that you feel called that you want to share that we didn't discuss today?
I think we covered mostly everything. I think the biggest thing I want people to take away from this is, if you feel like you can't do it, like you definitely can. Like I did this at a point in my life where I should not have been doing anything because it was probably the lowest point of my life.
Yep.
But I've come out the other side, and it's definitely, I think having this has helped me through it.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the biggest things people need to realize. No matter what point you are in your life, you have 4 kids, you have 1 kid, you're pregnant, you can still make all of your dreams come true. You just got to work hard and, realize that it's going to be very difficult in the beginning, those first few months. But if you keep pushing through, you're definitely going to come out the other side.
Amazing. That is great advice. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so where can we find you on social media, website, if you want to share some of that information?
Yeah, so you can find us on Instagram. We're at Flourish Mag CA. We're also on Facebook, just Flourish Magazine Canada. You can find us online at www.flourishmagazine.ca. And online, you'll be able to read all of our blog posts, and all of our events are posted there. So if you are in Ontario and you want to come out and meet us, all our events are there, and you can see those. And if you do want to purchase, everything is online and we can ship to anywhere in Canada. So
amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for participating today. I greatly appreciate it.
yeah, thanks so much for having me. It was fun.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I greatly appreciate the time that you took to listen and learn a bit more about another woman in business who is truly moving and shaking the world. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, please subscribe, rate, review, and share it with a friend who you think might enjoy it too. These small actions truly mean the world to a small business owner like myself. If you're a business owner looking for inspiration and guidance in growing your business, I would love to help you. I also will be giving my listeners $25 off my Creativity Strategy Hour. By using promo code CreativityAndLove, you can use it at checkout and get it on my website, which is available on the show notes, or at www.pinkcrowncreative.com. You can also stay up to date with the latest podcast releases, behind the scenes, and insider info about each guest by following us on Instagram at Have You Met Her Yet series, or by signing up for our weekly newsletter, which will bring each episode right to your inbox. Thank you so much for listening. It truly means the world. We wish you a wonderful week and hope that it is filled with creativity and love.